I have discovered a unique method of savings. I never spend my own money.
Okay, so my last video wasn't too long because I didn't press a 10-minute icon, but anyways, I'm just getting into work, right? Nobody in this unit, I'm the only one besides the owner with the key. The owner lives all the way in New York. I'm in Oakland, California. So this unit had a fire a few years back. This was a little girl's room. This was a room. And I'm like lost for words right now, I'm sorry. Like, catch my breath, I'm getting chills, the hair standing up on my arms. But the girl that happened to pass away in this unit was 3 years old. Look at what the fuck I see on the ground. Those are not an adult-sized footprint going into the wall. This is where her bed was at, right here. I talked to the owner, I video called him and everything. And I've been here and little kids laughing. I mean, I just thought it was coming from outside, but it's like a little, I felt something go like this to my ear. And yeah, I hear all the activity coming from that closet and right here, but this really baffled me. Like I said, nobody else has the keys. There's no kids in here. I lock up everything. It's a 4-unit complex. Nobody's in here. Nobody been in here. There's an alarm system. So we got paranormal activity. Look at these little feet. Look at these little cute little feet. If you're in here, ghosts, I mean no harm. I'm Uncle Dave. You call me Uncle Dave. Just fixing up your room for you. Okay? But yeah, I believe in ghosts. So if you have anything paranormal, share it on Ghost. But man, I work in every environment, even if it's haunted, you know. But yeah, you know. But yeah, say something. If you hear some ghosts or whatever, or types of ghost activity, share it, man. Okay, peace out. God is love. See you later.
Fran! On this door. But you know I'm black, right? And I don't play that shit.
I don't scare easily, but you would not catch me working the night shift.
Okay, so 10 more I'm at work and I was about to take out the trash and I just got a text from the lady who works here, and she was like, hey Shay, just want to let you know that everyone has left, so you can go vacuum the other side. I was like, okay, yes ma'am. And she said, just me there? No, I asked her, I said, just me there? She's like, yes. Y'all, I'm scared as because when I went outside, there are no cars out there besides my work van. And I'm so scared. So tell me why, if I'm the only one here, who the f is this? Like, who the f is that? Like, y'all, I'm not tripping. That's somebody in that room and they just sitting there. Who the f is that? Like, they just sitting there. Bro, I'm about to f***ing call because I'm like, how the what you, and I just called her. I said, hey, you sure I'm the only one here? She's like, yeah, look at the cameras. You're the only one there. I'm seeing about the cars there. And I said, someone is in one of the booths. And she was like, in the booths? I was like, yeah, someone is in one of the booths. What the f? What the f? Y'all, ain't no lock on this f***ing door. Hey, oh shit. There's no lock on this door. But you know I'm black, right? And I don't play that shit. Nope. 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 Hell no, cause
Let me tell you about this haunted hospital I worked at, where I had to push this body down to the morgue, and these spirits was jumping all on top of the body bag and pushing the body cart all up and down the hallway. So this is my first hospital job. I'm super new. I had never done anything in a hospital before. I was only doing like nursing homes and home health care, right? So I turn around and I'm training with this woman. You can tell she hated her life. She being rude. She didn't want to train me. She had me doing everything by myself, even though she was supposed to be training me. And so then, unfortunately, this patient passes away. And she tells me, like, you know, you got to toe tag them. You got to do X, Y, and Z. So she's telling me what to do, but she's like not really wanting to help me. She'll just keep leaving out the room. So I'm doing everything by myself. And I finally toe tag her, and it's time for us to like go ahead and put her in the bag. So she comes in, she helps me put her in the bag, and then she looked at me and she's like, you got to take her down to the morgue by yourself. I said, aren't you supposed to come with me? Like, I don't even know where the morgue is. She was like, no, I had to do it myself the first time. Okay. So I went ahead and I was like, cool, I'll just go by myself then. So fast forward, I pulled the body onto the elevator, and I'm already freaked out. I'm in the elevator with a dead body, and the first thing that's on my mind is, what if this elevator stopped and I get trapped in this elevator with a dead body? Anyway, so fast forward, I'm in the basement and I'm pretty much waiting for security. She told me that security was going to meet me there. Now, mind you, I don't know where I'm going. So I'm going up and down the hall, pushing this body up and down the hall, trying to find this morgue. And so it's a fairly large hospital, right? And when you don't know where you're going, you be confused. So I finally like saw this area, and I'm just like, okay, that looked like it would be something like a morgue. I don't know. So I walked up to the door, and in small printing, it said morgue, right? So I'm like, okay, this is it. I pushed the body up against the wall. And when I pushed the body up against the wall, I'm just standing there. I'm waiting for security. I hear the elevator ding, and I heard the doors open. And I was like, okay, finally, they're here. Nobody got off the elevator. So then I heard walking from the opposite direction. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just waiting. Nobody ever comes. I'm down there waiting. Like, I had pushed the body up against the wall and everything, waiting for about 15-20 minutes. So finally, I was like, okay, let me call up there. So I called the unit. And when I called the unit, the girl who's training me answered the phone. And she's like, oh, sometimes it just takes them a while. It's okay. You can go ahead and just wait there. And so I'm just like, okay. So then I wait down there longer. And the longer I wait, I just feel anxious. And I'm like, I do not like being down here. Like, I'm literally in the basement. It feels like by myself. I don't see any other workers. This shit is weird. So I hear talking, and I'm like, okay, let me walk to where they are, like whoever was talking, so I can tell them, like, hey, do you mind getting security for me so they can hurry up and get down here? Because I don't want to leave the body, right? So I get to that area where I heard the talking, and there's nobody there. So immediately, I know what that is. And I immediately don't want to be down there. I already didn't want to come. So I get annoyed because I've been waiting for a long time now. And so finally, I'm like, I'm just going to search spree to try to find somebody myself. So I finally like walk down this other hallway. And as I'm walking down the other hallway, I hear commotion coming from where I left the body. And so I turned around. I'm like, maybe the security people came from the opposite direction. Maybe that's them. So when I go back around the corner, I noticed that from afar, I can see there's something on the floor. And as I'm walking closer, I can see that it's the belongings bag that belongs to the deceased. I had it on top of the body bag. And so I'm like, okay, it could have just fallen. I don't know. And so as I'm getting closer, I see that there's somebody behind the cart, like holding onto the handles behind the cart. And I was like, you know, getting scared. So finally, I was just like, okay. So as I get closer, the person that was squatting behind the cart stood up. And it's a spirit pushing the body cart towards me. And then it's a couple more spirits sitting on top of the body bag. Y'all, I never ran to an elevator so fast. I ran to the elevator. And I called the unit again, and I told the girl, I said, hey, I'm gonna need you to come down to the, thing with me. The security didn't even show. She said, just come on back up here. So I went back upstairs, and when I got back up there, she had an attitude. We called security again. Security gets down there, but this time they tell me that I had the body pushed all the way over by janitorial. Y'all know I did not. No, I did not. I did not have that body pushed down there by janitorial. So security's like, yeah, I just don't send no more new people down here if they just gonna be leaving bodies just anywhere. Anybody could walk down here. Well, maybe y'all should have been where y'all said y'all was gonna be.
I swear to God, this hand dryer just turned on by itself. And that's how far, like, this is how far away I am from it. Turn on again if there's somebody here with me. I will shit on myself where I'm not even wiping my ass.
So one time I was working as a security guard at the mall, and we spent literally like 3 to 4 hours trying to track down a person who was still in the mall after hours when it turned out to be a ghost the entire time. So I was doing my rounds in the parking lot because I was the driver that night for parameting the security area or whatever around the mall. And there was 5 guards on duty, I being one of them. Two of them was on the inside in the security office, and they were actually, doing the all call for everybody to having to leave. So I'm checking my area, making sure nobody's out there still. And on my end, everything was good. On the other security guard's end, everything was good. And we had one security guard that was actually on the floor inside the mall, walking around the mall, making sure there was nobody in. They were like, all clear. So when he said all clear, the 2 that was still in the office were like, no, we're not all clear. There's somebody in the food court. And he was like, can't be, because I just went in the food court. There's nobody in the food court. And so he was like, no, there's somebody in the food court. He's wearing a black hat with a white t-shirt and some blue jeans and some black shoes. And he was like, well, where is he standing? And he was like, oh, he's standing next to the ice cream shop. So the security guard goes back inside, he was already inside. He goes to the food court and he was like, okay, there's nobody here. And he's like, okay. And I'm hearing this all on the walkie. And he was like, the guy is right there. He's right there at the ice cream area. He's right there, right in front of the cashier station, right in front of the register. And so the security guard, I hear him on the walkie, says, okay, here I am. I'm standing where he should be. There's nobody here. So they're looking and they're like, okay, can somebody please park and come in and see what we're seeing? So I parked, I come in, made my way in to see what they're seeing. And there's a guy just standing there at the ice cream station, hat and all. Like, he's standing there with his hands in his pocket, but you can't see his face. He's got his back turned to the camera. And our security guard is like, see, I'm right here, So it's crazy because the moment I started looking at him, it's like the guy just disappeared. He disappeared out of nowhere. So when he disappeared, all 3 of us looked at each other because, mind you, there was already 2 security guards inside the office. And we were like, did we just see that? He literally blip. It was like blip. It was so quick. And so the security guard that was walking around made his way to the office. He was like, where is he? And we were like, he's gone, dude. Like, he's now gone. So then we're looking on the cameras and he pops up near the shoe store. And we're like, what's going on?
So I have a spooky story for you, and this one takes us back to 2020. We'll say around February or March, right around COVID. So there's an office building full of people. They've worked together for a pretty long time. Very few new people, but there were 2 gentlemen who always saw each other in passing. We'll call one of them Kelvin and the other one Ron. Now, Ron and Kelvin weren't super close, but they knew each other just by virtue of always being at work together. Ron would stop in Kelvin's office and they would chat it up in the mornings, and then Ron would go on his way. So later that March, COVID gets really bad and this company decides to send all of its employees home for telework. And it would go on like this for years. Now, sadly, during the course of this 4 years, this company lost a number of its employees to COVID. And because people weren't coming in the way they used to, a lot of people fell out of touch with their coworkers unless they worked directly with them. Now, fast forward roughly 3 years, it's January 2023, and this company decides to bring all of its employees back to the office. Now, because it's been almost 3 years since everybody's been back in full time, people have shuffled around quite a bit. There's been people who have left for new opportunities, people who've moved divisions, new faces to replace the old faces, people have retired. There's just a lot of new people, and people were generally pretty decent about having to come back into the office. Now, in this 3 years that this company was out, they had done quite a few renovations, shuffled some things around, and so offices moved and weren't where they were previously located. But somehow, much like they had done beforehand, Ron and Calvin managed to find each other. Calvin's office had moved from the first floor up to the third floor, and Ron, doing his daily walks, had seen him. Now, Calvin always got into the office super early, we'll say around 5:30 in the morning. He was one of the first to get there, and he left around 3 p.m. So when Ron came in at around 6 or 7 o'clock, that was usually one of the first people he would go and see. So on one of these mornings back at the office, Ron and Calvin were having their daily conversation as they did, and all of a sudden the two men stopped because they're both hearing a noise. It sounds like something is creaking down the hallway. Now the two pause their conversations and they listen closely because typically at that time of the morning, there are very few people in the building. That's when the source of the noise was revealed. It was a custodian with her mop bucket, and she was dragging it along the hallway, creating the disturbance. As she passed by Calvin's office door, she looked in and she gave a greeting. She kept it moving, but Ron noticed as the woman finished passing that she had a very strange look on her face. So he peered into the office and looked at Calvin. The two of them exchanged a weird glance and then laughed it off. But during the course of the next month, anytime the custodian was in the building and she passed by Calvin's office, the custodian always had the same disposition, a greeting followed by some weird expression. But then the custodian, much like she always would drag her bucket and head down the hallway. And the two men would do as they normally did, which is acknowledge the weirdness of the event and go back to having their conversation until Ron had to get back to work and walked away. But everything would change on the day of their town hall. Now, it was the first town hall they had had since they came back to work, and it was something that happened quarterly. All of the employees would shuffle into the auditorium located at the center of the building, and then they would proceed to have a 2-hour-long meeting where information would be shared, there would be hail and farewells, and then you would go back to work. And in this meeting, they honored a list of everyone that they had lost during COVID. They talked about the employees who had transferred out, maybe gone to new offices, those who left the company for new opportunities, and those who sadly passed away. And for every member that had passed away, there was a picture. Now, during this part of the presentation, Calvin took a moment to survey the audience and see who he could see. And down in the front row, he noticed Ron sitting with the rest of his group. And then he looked across and noticed that there were a lot of people missing. But things got really chilling when Calvin returned his glance to the presentation. And 2 pictures later, he saw a face that he recognized, and it was the face of Ron. Now, Calvin looked back down where he saw Ron standing with his group and realized that he couldn't see Ron anymore. But as his eyes carried back up towards the presentation, he noticed a small eulogy next to Ron's picture. The eulogy said Ron had died 2 years ago back in 2021. Almost 2 years before they came back to the office and around a year after COVID had started. Ron didn't make it out of the pandemic, and yet every morning, clear as day, Ron was standing inside of Calvin's office, having a full-blown conversation. And as he sat here processing this, everything started to make sense. The constant weird looks from the custodian, the fact that Ron's visits happened every morning like clockwork, it was something he could almost count on. The fact that every morning, at the exact same time, Ron would find a reason to leave. Now, to this day, Calvin doesn't know what to think about it and why Ron might have come back to visit him. But I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you have any scary office or work stories. You can drop them in my comments or DM me. I want to know if you guys like this story. Again, what are your thoughts on it? Anyways, I will see you guys in my next video.
So I hope you enjoyed those creepy videos. Those were some scary situations I'd never want to be in. And, I also have my own creepy workplace story. When I worked as a social worker quite a few years ago, it was in this kind of warehouse-looking building, and it was really creepy. There was a bathroom that was down in the lower part of the building that no one wanted to use. I was told, I worked on the other side of the building, so I didn't have to use that bathroom, but I was told by the other employees that they avoided the other bathroom because they would see a black figure. They described it as a cowboy. They said it was tall and it had a hat and it looked like it had a long black jacket. Now, sometimes I would have to go over to that side of the building to, give paperwork to someone, but I made sure to never stay too long, and I definitely never used that bathroom. And I do want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you have any creepy stories that happened to you while you were at work, please leave them down below. And please like the video, comment, share if you care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.